Hello there and welcome to our part 3 YouTube video on our preparation course for those taking the Life in the UK test. This is your starting point for the Life in the UK test and your success at that test. Our Citizenship Studies course is an easy way to learn about British citizenship and to prepare for the Life in the UK test. In this presentation, we're going to take a quick look at an extract from our History of the British Isles section. The group of lessons on History of the British Isles is fact-filled and covers a very long period of the history of Britain, from early Britain through the medieval period and the 16th to 19th centuries right up to the present day. We've prepared several different presentations supported by lots of graphics to help people understand the key facts about the history of the British Isles, its kings, pictured here, Henry VIII, and its queens, pictured here, Queen Elizabeth I, and its many wars and battles, which shaped many present-day UK cultural, religious and political activities. Our history section is packed with facts and has presentations on early Britain, the Middle Ages, the Tudors and the Stuarts, the 1600s, 1700s, the Victorian Age, the First World War, the interwar years and the Second World War, and then finally post-war Britain and modern Britain. Right now, we're going to look at a short extract from one of the history presentations. The one I've selected is post-war Britain. In the extract which follows, we're going to take a look at a couple of the slides used in this presentation to give you an idea of content. The narrative that goes with these slides moves at a slower pace than I'm speaking at the moment, but I'm showing you this extract to give you an idea of the sort of facts covered in the presentation. In this first slide, we're going to be looking at some information about the Commonwealth. The slide goes on to explain some of the issues that the Commonwealth has faced, its makeup, and also some of the facts about the Commonwealth during its development. Of course, the Queen is the ceremonial head of the Commonwealth, which currently has 53 members. And this slide shows on the right-hand side all those member countries that make up the Commonwealth of Nations. This list can be seen in the Citizenship Guide. The next slide moves on to remind us that any meeting of the Commonwealth of Nations is a very grand affair. Here we see a picture of Her Majesty the Queen, Queen Elizabeth II, who is the ceremonial head of the Commonwealth, sitting with the many leaders of Commonwealth countries. A very impressive sight. Let's go on now to look at another slide drawn from this section of presentations. In this case, a slide about the development of the first supersonic airliner, Concorde. The slide tells us that the Concorde was developed in the 1960s, and on the right we can now see a picture of the Concorde belonging to British Airways and the Concorde belonging to Air France. The slide reminds us that Britain and France were the two nations which developed Concorde, which came into service in 1969 initially and had a first commercial flight in 1976. Concorde then continued in service for 27 years. Let's now just take a look at a couple of typical quiz questions. I've chosen two questions which relate to the slides we've just viewed. In this particular section about post-World War II, you can see there are 39 questions in all. Let's look at question 37, which asks which two countries below developed the Concorde supersonic airliner. When you've studied the answers, if doing this quiz, perhaps you would have selected United Kingdom and France, which would be the correct answer, and then you'd have clicked on Next to go on to the next question. Here we can see a second question. In this case, about how many countries make up the British Commonwealth of Nations? In this case, if doing the quiz, we'd click against 53, which you'll recall was the number mentioned in the slide. Just before we leave this slide, underneath the questions you can see a review question button, which allows you to look at all the questions, and a quiz summary button, which allows you to look at all the answers that you have made and work out which were correct and which were incorrect. I hope you found that quite easy to follow. It was just a very short example of a couple of slides from the presentation on post-war Britain, just one of 10 presentations making up our section on the history of the British Isles. As you'll have seen, the presentation is followed by a specially composed quiz which has questions in a random order. Remember, at the end of each quiz, you're awarded a score and then can review your quiz questions to see which ones you've answered correctly and which ones you need to look at again. So what next? You can take a look at another example in our YouTube Part 2, or you can purchase our citizenship course straight away and get started with your studies. Whatever you decide to do, good luck with your citizenship studies. So for contact and further information, please go to www.bplelc.co.uk, or you can email on visa tests at bplelc.co.uk. We have centres in Southampton, Bristol, Winchester and Swindon. Our online course can be accessed worldwide. Thank you for listening to this presentation.